Chapter 961. It's interesting to see you struggle. Continue reading on. Cultivation +1, Lifeblood +1, Strength +1. Jiang Hao stood in the spirit herb garden and looked at the last batch of high-grade spirit herbs and let out a sigh of relief. The 300 superior-grade spirit herbs that Bai Yi had given him had all germinated. Now that he was no longer bound by this matter, he could go out of the sect. He had prepared for it. He just needed to be at his peak. He was waiting to fight Jiyu Changsheng at the end of July. If the two sides surrounded each other, the other party might do something more. If they were not careful, it would be dangerous. He needed to be careful. Junior brother Jiang, you planted a superior-grade spirit herb again? Miao Tinglian asked. Jiang Hao sighed inwardly. Senior sister Miao usually didn't stay to talk with him. She had arrived suddenly, so he felt that something was wrong. Good morning, senior sister Miao, Jiang Hao said politely. Junior brother Jiang, you're too polite. There's no need to be so formal. Miao Tinglian smiled. These few days, I went to visit other branches with Mu Qi. He found some great candidates. Hey, junior brother Jiang, where are you going? Don't go. Jiang Hao was no longer polite. He just ignored her and walked away. He had been too embarrassed to walk away before, but he decided to risk it. However, she was not discouraged. He did not know when she would be able to give up on matchmaking. He wished senior sister Miao could focus on herself more than this. There were still some Heavenly Saint sect members in the sect who were planning something. They would definitely target them. She couldn't even protect herself, yet she still had time to find a companion for him. He didn't know what to do about senior sister Miao. The fallen immortal clan was trying to make the immortal seed bloom. The Heavenly Saint sect and Heavenly Spirit tribe might be supporting them. The higher-ups of both sides would definitely do more. They might all know about the divine item. Xing's mission was not easy to complete. The Holy Master's divine soul might still be useful. He hoped that he wouldn't bump into them when he went to the Heavenly Spirit tribe. Jiang Hao went as far away from Miao Tinglian as possible. She was disappointed. Junior brother Jiang's cultivation realm is too high. He's already ignoring me. No, I have to advance. Miao Tinglian sighed and was about to cultivate and advance. She was not far from reaching the primordial spirit realm. In 1 or 2 years, Jiang Hao would be beyond her realm. What are you thinking about, senior sister Miao? Asked a woman with a smile. Her eyes were so clear that people could not help but stare at her. Junior sister Mingyi. She didn't really know this person very well. Senior sister Miao, you know my name? Mingyi smiled. Senior sister, you seem very familiar with junior brother Jiang. He is truly extraordinary. He was only at the Foundation Establishment realm when I first met him. In the blink of an eye, he made it to the Golden Core realm. His cultivation realm is even higher than mine now. She sighed with emotion. A person who was weaker than her had suddenly surpassed her. That's because of the Bloodwish path, Miao Tinglian said with a smile. Many people thought that Jiang Hao cultivated the Bloodwish path. Miao Tinglian didn't think that was true, but she felt that it was better to let others think so. There was no need to explain anything. Of course, those who paid close attention to it would be suspicious about it. But it didn't matter. Really? Mingyi smiled. I heard that people from Heavenly Saint sect have been wandering around the Cliff of Broken Hearts. Who are they here for? I don't know. My cultivation is so weak, so I don't understand many things. Do you know, junior sister Mingyi? Miao Tinglian was flustered. I have to be careful. My husband sometimes goes on missions, and nobody's there by my side. Oh, right. Are you married, junior sister? Do you want me to introduce you to someone? Mingyi looked at the person in front of her in astonishment. She wondered why Miao Tinglian was asking her such a question. As a cultivator, everyone wanted to become an immortal and live a long life. Most of the time, romantic partners only got in the way. How could such a person cultivate so quickly and be able to freely walk around the sect despite going through so many things? The people from Heavenly Saint sect were all watching her. Was she not afraid? I don't really want a partner right now, said Mingyi. Oh, then forget it. Miao Tinglian was disappointed. Then, I won't disturb you, junior sister. She turned around and left. Senior sister? Mingyi called out to her. How did you manage to avoid that person's gaze? Ah! What did you say, junior sister? Miao Tinglian asked. It's nothing. Mingyi shook her head. After that, Miao Tinglian turned around and left. Just as she turned around, her smile disappeared. Is she someone like me? She thought to herself. However, she couldn't say that aloud. She didn't care if she was targeted or not. It wasn't like they were familiar with each other. The other party's life and death had nothing to do with her. I'm so bored. I'm going to find my husband. Miao Tinglian left happily. Under the mines, Qiao Yi's cultivation had already broken through to the peak of the primordial spirit realm. It would be slower after that. The heavenly spirit tribe's heaven-bestowed cultivation technique? Kendo was surprised. And it's not just one. Do you have 2 other auxiliary techniques? Qiao Yi nodded. She had been shocked when she received them, too. The princess had actually found 3 of the 4 heaven-bestowed cultivation techniques of the heavenly spirit tribe for her. It seemed like she still had to find the 4th one. She did not know how powerful the princess was, but she could tell that the princess alone had surpassed the entire imperial family. That was definitely not something that the imperial family could achieve. 1 as the main, 2 as support. However, don't cultivate the 4th rashly. Without a balanced method, you will be doomed forever, Kendo said kindly. Since he had nothing to do, he would teach them as much as he could. Senior, do you know where to find the art of balance? Baizhu asked. I don't know, Kendo said. Senior, I've been asking a lot of questions lately, but you haven't given me any straight answers, said Baizhu. Yes, I'm doing it on purpose. Kendo nodded. Why? Baizhu was startled. It's quite amusing to see you suffer, Kendo said with a smile. Baizhu was speechless. Qiao Yi didn't say anything. This senior was unpredictable. The princess could ask questions and talk as she pleased because she was quite powerful. She naturally couldn't. Tell me, what news do you have? Kendo asked. Senior, we can launch an attack at the end of July. At that time, there would be people who could help. The other party will be in great trouble. Whether or not we can suppress him will depend on you, Senior. It's not a problem. I just don't know if they can do it. If they can't block Jiyu Changsheng's escape route, it'll be useless no matter what I do, Kendo said. Well, if that doesn't work, then there's probably no other way, Baizhu said. However, she felt that it was not a problem. We have to inform the Heavenly Note sect before we act. Perhaps it will affect the outside world again, Kendo said. 2 months passed in a flash, and it was already late July. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 962, Dare to be the first in the world. The second floor of the wooden house, Jiang Hao was sitting at his desk and making talismans. Beads of sweat appeared on his forehead. He seemed a little tired. He only heaved a sigh of relief when the talisman flickered with a faint light. Then, he put down the brush. He picked up a Return to Void Realm clone talisman. In the past few months, he had been making clone talismans whenever he was free. He was creating a clone of power at the Return to Void Realm or above, so the success rate was not very high. In the beginning, he only made 2 out of 10. After spending 60,000 spirit stones to buy the materials, he had finally improved. He had more than 400 clone talismans with him. Including the previous ones, there were a total of 568. He was left with 150,000 spirit stones. 2 months ago, Hong Yuye came by. To be on the safe side, he asked her about the Shangguan clan. Hong Yuye gave a strange answer. She said that if the entire clan were together, the curse would be unprecedentedly strong. Perhaps the power on the other side could interfere with the array. He had to have enough suppressive power, or else it would be easy for problems to occur. Jiang Hao fell silent. He didn't have enough power, so he could only use the clone talisman. He hoped that he would not need to use it. If he needed it, he didn't know if it would be of much use. He naturally knew his own strength. However, the suppressive power of it was still effective. He imbued the talismans with purple energy. When he used it, he would be able to channel the primordial spirit energy properly. I hope nothing goes wrong. If he failed, he wouldn't be able to stop Jiyu Changsheng, and Gui would fail too. Jing had to protect the image he had created. Although the others wouldn't say anything if he failed, Jiyu Changsheng wouldn't be so forgiving. And the mysterious personality of Jing would disappear too. There would definitely be some trouble in the future. It was tiring to maintain the image he had created. However, this was a necessary thing to do. Jiang Hao walked to his balcony and looked into the distance. He took a deep breath. There are still 3 days left. I have to maintain my peak condition. He was very tired. He had been waiting since the end of the gathering. He didn't care much about other things. The Shangguan clan's matter was his priority. He continued with his explanation of cultivation in the garden. The Foundation establishment realm cultivators of the other branches had all come in order to listen to his explanation. Everyone knew the rules. If they gained anything from him, they would leave behind a portion of blood. It was all voluntary. No one forced anyone. No one even cared if they left the scene after obtaining the benefits. There were many people like that. However, they were unable to enter the Cliff of Broken Hearts after that. They were banished by senior brother Mu Qi. How dare people from other branches come here and be impudent? Jiang Hao didn't care. He had his own goal, but it was not bad to have his seniors help him. At the very least, it was for spreading his notorious Bloodwish Path reputation. If they weren't willing to pay, they weren't qualified to listen to his lectures. This kind of thing happened in the sect. Some people thought that he was about to die, and some people thought that he wanted to refine his golden core realm to its peak so that he could compete for the position of top disciple. More and more people were discussing him behind his back, while others looked down on him. The Bloodwish Path was not very popular. But Jiang Hao was happy with the assumption. He sighed as he looked at the peach tree in the courtyard. In fact, he had long since stopped thinking about the last incarnation. So far, he did not have the resources to make it undergo the last incarnation. 1 million spirit stones were one thing, but there were 2 other conditions it needed to meet. He had no choice but to wait. After waiting for 3 days, Jiang Hao's condition reached its peak. He looked at the peach tree again, but there was still nothing there. It seemed that he had to rely on himself this time. After using the Heavenly Secret's hidden talisman, Jiang Hao transformed into Smiling San Sheng and disappeared. Smiling San Sheng was never afraid of strong enemies. If others were strong, he would only be stronger. He was fearless. There was no other way to be. Under the minds of the Heavenly Note sect, Baizhu was getting nervous. Tonight was the day of the decisive battle. "Senior, are you ready?" she asked. "Of course, you guys have to be careful. I'm going to see if I can get Jiyu Changsheng to talk." "The Heavenly Note sect has been informed, right?" Kendo asked. "Yes, I did inform them." Baizhu nodded. "All right, I'll try it now," Kendo said. Then, he closed his eyes and began to pry into the existence behind the giant tree. It was like walking in the void. He transmitted his divine sense with his sword's intent. "Let me give you a piece of advice. It's not too late to reach an agreement." It was like a stone sinking into the ocean. "Didn't you get into trouble before? Perhaps you will think that it is a small problem, but you will soon find that it will completely crush you. Tonight is the day your power spreads. Aren't you worried? You must know that the trouble last time was just an appetizer." Kendo waited. This time, he didn't throw a stone into the ocean of void. "You're very strong, but not strong enough. No matter how much you do, you'll just be a clown." The other party finally responded. "Senior, I like what you said very much because you will soon face my sword." "How do you compare to the sword god from back then?" "I'm a bit inferior to him. Back then, the sword god and I had a 50-50 chance of winning against each other. How can you compete with me? I admit I'm not very confident. But my sword isn't afraid of strong enemies. Too much is as bad as not being strong enough. If something is too hard, it'll break easily." "Senior, you must be joking. There are only small paths in the Tao. I want to cut down the great Tao of heaven and earth. There is no restriction on the Tao of heaven and earth. I dare to be the first in the world and the first in the Tao of the sword to have done it. The other party was silent for a long time. Then, he said, "You're more arrogant than the sword god, but you still haven't given me anything that'll make me negotiate with you. Everything is still under my control." Kendo smiled and retreated. He began to wait and readied the sword in his hand. He couldn't wait any longer. At the 100 Flowers Lake, the red and white figure stood by the lake and looked into the distance. No one knew what was on her mind. Sect Master. Baiji appeared by the lake and bowed her head respectfully. "Is something going to happen to the mine?" Hong Yuye asked. "Yes, there might be some changes tonight. We've already started to deal with it with all our strength. Although the other party said that there won't be any problems, we still need to be careful," Baiji said. Everyone knew that he was the first person to compete in the way of the sword. If the battle between the two sides began, it would be fatal for the Heavenly Note sect. However, they weren't displeased. They were more than happy to have such an expert take action to resolve the hidden danger. After all, the tree was in the Heavenly Note sect, and it would definitely bring great trouble to the Heavenly Note sect in the future. Has the selection for the top disciples already begun? Hong Yuye didn't ask much about Kendo. Yes, it has already begun. Many people will be participating. Baiji thought for a moment. Jiang Hao is also participating. He seems to be interested in competing for the position of the top disciple. With his strength, there should be no problem at all. Right now, he is constantly explaining cultivation issues to Foundation Establishment and Lifeblood Refinement Realm cultivators. Everyone thinks he practices the Blood Wish path. Presumably, he uses it to become stronger or to pave the way for a breakthrough. There is a high chance that it has something to do with the person behind him. Jiang Hao becoming a top disciple might be beneficial to the person behind him. Perhaps it would be better to find out who is behind him to find out what they plan. Is that so? Hong Yuye said calmly. Then, let's see what happens next. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 963, Unparalleled in the World, Smiling San Sheng. 1. In the backyard of the Shangguan clan, the waves crashed against the edge of the mountain peak, and the wind blew through the forest. Jiang Hao stood at the center of the mountain peak and looked down. At that moment, the array formation had already expanded. At the foot of the mountain, there was a crowd of people. Shangguan Chicheng stood at the forefront. "Greetings, disciple Smiling San Sheng," he said when he saw Jiang Hao. The others followed suit. Although they didn't know who the person at the top was, the clan said that they were going to fight against the curse this time. This person must be related to the curse. Even if it had nothing to do with the curse, he was not someone they could offend. After all, the clan leader was so respectful toward that person, which was enough to explain how important he was. Under the moonlight, Jiang Hao looked down from above. The people of the Shangguan clan all staring at him put him under a lot of pressure. Even if these people's combat strength was inferior to his, they weren't ordinary people. Then, he released his power and checked the array formation. After confirming that there was no mistake, he smiled. "All we need to do now is wait. Tonight will be the night for a new start to your lives." As soon as he finished speaking, he turned around and entered the core of the formation. There was a room there. Outsiders did not know what was going on inside. Jiang Hao could feel that the people below were a little nervous. He was also very nervous. This was the first time he had encountered such a thing. The fate of this clan was in his hands. Unknowingly, he had already become so strong. Unfortunately, there were many powerful people in this world. He could not be arrogant. He needed to continue waiting. The longer he waited, the stronger he would be. His future was still promising. Jiang Hao calmed down. He hadn't taken out the heavenly fate misfortune pearl yet. He wanted to sense the emotions and movements of the people below. He felt confusion, helplessness, and excitement from them. Today was the day of the curse's outbreak. Some people still didn't understand why this was happening. How could it be useful? Some were against it, especially the women. The pain made them miserable, and they didn't want others to see them like that. Jiang Hao could feel the sadness and desolation of the clan. However, he was helpless. This was how it was supposed to be. What surprised him was that there were many young children in the crowd, who were swaddled in their mother's arms. All these people were tormented by the curse. The human world is suffering. Whether ordinary people or cultivators, they all struggled. Jiang Hao shook his head. He didn't think too much about it. Time passed by. Some felt like it had been a year, while others passed by in a flash. Jiang Hao opened his eyes when he sensed the power of the curse spreading. It's starting. It was midnight. The curse began to spread. He didn't know if it was because of the curse gathering, but he could feel that the curse was much stronger this time. Shangguan Qingsu also noticed that this curse was different from the past. It was similar to what she had experienced in the Heavenly Note sect. However, it was a little strange. It was as if the curse knew that their race was going to fight and began a counterattack. For a moment, she was excited, but she was also worried that smiling San Sheng would fail. Shangguan Chicheng was even more worried. She felt the anger of the curse. If they failed, they would have to face the worst of the curse. A scorching heat appeared between their brows, and then it began to extend at a speed that they had never encountered before. In an instant, they panicked, as if their lives might end here. Some even screamed in fear. There was worry, fear, and despair on everyone's faces. However, just as they thought that the curse was about to erupt, a red light suddenly appeared in the array. Then, the curse retreated at a speed visible to the naked eye. Those people who were screaming were at a loss. They didn't know what had happened. What had happened to the curse? Shangguan Qingsu took a deep breath. The situation was completely different from before. It was as if it was about to explode. She thought that even if the curse could be suppressed, it would be painful. Unexpectedly, it was gone in an instant. Just like many times before, this person had helped get rid of the curse. This proved that he was indeed able to get rid of the curse. However, because they did not fully agree to the conditions, he only used a portion of his power. Shangguan Chicheng felt the difference. He did not regret his choice. As long as he could suppress it, it was enough. As for the others, they were surprised and delighted. They were still in a daze. Everything happened too suddenly. Jiang Hao sat cross-legged on the ground with a frown. When he was suppressing the curse, he felt a wave of pressure. A cursed passage was forming under the array, and something could erupt at any time. At that moment, Jiang Hao knew that something unexpected was about to happen. He took out the Earth Extreme Silent Pearl, the Heavenly Blade, and the Immortal Mountain Sea Shield. The 9 Heavens battle armor appeared around him. He was facing a strong enemy, so he had to go all out. He just didn't know when the other party would make a move. However, he could vaguely sense something in the cursed passage. It was like a sword's intent. In the Heavenly Note sect, Baiji and the others were guarding the mines. Everyone had been evacuated. Ku Wu Chang and the others followed behind Baiji. They all knew that something was going to happen tonight. At that moment, Kendo laughed. I finally feel like I've found something important. It seems like your path of retreat has been blocked. From the very beginning, Kendo hadn't felt like they were facing a real opponent. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 964, Unparalleled in the World, Smiling San Sheng, 2. They had no choice but to participate in this war. However, things were different now. Kendo could sense it. At that moment, he stood up and walked toward the center of the conflict with his sword in hand. His swords will burst out and pierced the darkness. At that moment, they heard a sigh. Immediately after, a figure walked out of the void and faced Kendo's sword intent. Why bother? Why did you have to take out your sword? Ji Changsheng sighed. Kendo looked ahead and said softly, Senior, it's very kind of you to worry about me. At that moment, 2 auras instantly surged. Boom. The two of them attacked at the same time. The explosion of the power shook the surroundings, and the void shattered. Baizhu sensed the power outside and took Qiaoyi with her to escape. At that time, the mines began to shake. Baizhi led her men to suppress the surroundings. The sword's will and the power of the curse intersected. The void shook and the great Tao evaporated. The sword's intent broke through the curse, and the curse was like a tidal wave that surged violently. The fight lasted for a long time. The bright sword essence began to disintegrate under the huge waves. It became dim. No matter how much power the sword's intent released, it was unable to break through the sky-like curse wave. The black figure stood on the waves and shook his head. Your sword's will is just so. It's far inferior to the sword god. As soon as he finished speaking, he reached out and pressed down. The last of the sword's light disappeared. Just as he was about to leave, a voice suddenly came from under the curse wave. Senior, it's too early to be so emotional. The black shadow stopped and looked down at the huge wave. At that moment, he found a figure standing amidst the curse. He held a long sword and there was no sword light around him. His sword was like scrap metal. However, it was not affected by the curse. The black shadow was puzzled. Kendo looked up at the figure on the huge wave. He waved the sword in his hand. Like I said, my sword can split waves. Boom. The cursed wave was split apart by the sword. There was no sword light, but there was biting cold air. At that moment, Kendo walked out of the gap in the giant wave. He waved the long sword in his hand again. My sword can suppress the sea. The sword's will surged, and the endless waves shattered. The sword lit up and moved along with it. My sword can cut through the great Tao of heaven and earth. In an instant, the world was filled with endless sword's intent. At that moment, Kendo walked up to the black shadow and tried to compete with him. At the same time, his sword's intent broke through the void. His voice came from the void. My sword can make the Tao of the sword erupt. Boom. The curse shattered in front of the endless sword's will, and the void flickered. Boundless Tao techniques and curses were shattered under Kendo's feet. A man and a sword pierced through the void. The black shadow retreated. He looked at the person in front of him and frowned. They just stood there quietly. The two of them clashed again. At that moment, a sword light from the heavenly note sect shot into the clouds. Baizhi and the others were shocked. However, he didn't dare to approach them. Everyone just waited quietly and took some precautions. They retreated. The Shangguan clan overseas were still in shock. They clearly wanted to ask about what had happened, but they had no choice but to keep their mouths shut. Shangguan Chicheng waited quietly. He felt that today was not an ordinary day. At that moment, Jiang Hao sat cross-legged in the center and paid close attention to the formation. The cursed passage had really taken shape. Although it was very small, there might be power flowing out from it. Even if it was only a very weak force, it could not be underestimated. However, he sensed the sword's will. It seemed that the sword's will had started a fight with Jiyu Changsheng. If Kendo loses, we might be fine here. But if they are evenly matched, Jiyu Changsheng will have no choice but to come here. While Jiang Hao was thinking, a sword's intent suddenly rushed toward him. Jiang Hao was shocked, but he didn't panic. He grabbed the Earth Extreme Silent Pearl and tried to suppress the space. Boom! The explosion came suddenly, followed by the shaking of the mountain. The people of the Shangguan clan were a little confused. Immediately after, black energy began to appear between their brows. At that moment, they were terrified. They knew that the curse had changed. Some people complained. I told you not to believe in it. It's over. I feel something crawling up my body. I don't want to participate anymore. Let me go. Many complained, and some people even wanted to leave the array. Shangguan Chicheng was afraid, but he still intimidated everyone. If you dare to take a step out of the array, you will be branded a traitor. A powerful force and the surrounding array formation were aimed at everyone. Betraying the clan meant death. Only then did everyone slowly calm down, but the black gas continued to spread. The sword's intent struck the space and broke the restraints. The black gas spread wildly. Jiang Hao stood up. The 2 pearls in his hands were suppressing the surrounding area, but the sword's intent was too powerful. Jiyu Changsheng used Kendo's sword's will and turned it around. Impressive. If Kendo was not his match, then there was no need to make use of him. The sword's intent was not afraid of the suppression of the heavenly fate misfortune pearl, so it was helping the other party release its power. Jiang Hao didn't panic when he saw the black gas of the curse spreading. He stared at the formation and realized that the other party was also using the important parts of the formation to try to control the outside world. Soon, black gas began to surge crazily. Some of the people of the Shangguan clan cried out in fear. Everyone was gathered here, including ordinary people. It was inevitable that some of them would panic. Shangguan Chicheng felt black water flowing out from between his eyebrows. He looked at the core in horror. "Fellow disciple, please save us." "All right," Jiang Hao said from above. At that moment, he found the source. He could try to stop it. Everyone looked at him. They did not understand how he could save them. Jiang Hao waved the folding fan in his hand, and many talismans flew up. Purple energy appeared around him. The black gas had already condensed into a figure, and its outline was vaguely discernible. "Go away." Jiang Hao looked at the other party and waved his folding fan. In an instant, the talisman flew out and immediately turned into his figure. Each talisman was a clone. Each clone landed in a special spot. Purple energy appeared in the clone. For a moment, the Shangguan clan saw the purple energy descend from the sky and pierce into the cursed black energy. The powerful strength and the vast purple energy shocked them. At that moment, each clone formed a seal with their hands. The mountain and sea seal appeared and was shot into the array. In an instant, the purple energy and the black energy clashed. Boom! Both sides were evenly matched. At that moment, the sword's intent seemed to have sensed something and quickly dissipated. Without the support of the sword's intent, the black gas was powerless. After being suppressed by the purple energy, he could not move anymore. For a moment, they had an overwhelming advantage. The black gas was dissipating. The heavenly blade swung down. Although he looked calm, he was stressed. In front of him, the black shadow looked at him, and then a weak voice said, "Who are you? How is it that you are able to hold an extremely dangerous object and still have the strength to suppress me?" Jiang Hao's lips curled up in a smile. The folding fan in his hand opened with a whoosh, and the words "unparalleled in the world" appeared. His laughter could pierce through everything. "Unparalleled in the world. Smiling San Sheng." Smiling San Sheng? Kendo was a little surprised. He just realized that he had been used, so he withdrew his sword's intent at once. At the same time, he noticed the battle on the other side. He didn't know what exactly happened, but he heard something. Jiyu Changsheng was defeated, and the person who subdued him was holding an extremely dangerous object. He was curious. He thought that the other party would hide his identity, but he had mentioned his name without a care in the world. He couldn't help but laugh. There was indeed no shortage of geniuses in this world. Then, he retreated from the void. Everything was over. Jiyu Changsheng had no way out. He could either stay inside forever or compromise. Experts rarely acted on impulse, so the result was self-evident. The next morning, the Shangguan clan welcomed the rising sun unscathed. This time, what they saw was not just pure sunlight. It was their future. It was a new dawn. 3 days after Jiang Hao returned to his courtyard, the mines returned to normal. On the same day, Elder Baiji saw the honored guests out of the sect. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 966. Immense power. Jiang Hao sat cross-legged and listened to Gui's question. She was asking about the spiritual technique, Mountain Sea Insight. It was a potent spiritual technique that could raise the upper limit of the primordial spirit. Jiyu Changsheng must have given it to her. He had also told her about the best way to cultivate, but Gui was unsure if his words were trustworthy. She had asked for the gathering to ask Senior Dan Yuan's advice. Other than her, no one else had any other questions. Senior Dan Yuan only had one mission, and that was to obtain information about the Dragon Pearl. It wasn't any ordinary information. He wanted the whereabouts of the Dragon Clan and their current conditions. This information could probably only be found out after entering the Dragon Cave. Without any more missions, they proceeded to the trading phase. I still need to find the Saint Bandits, Gui said. If there are some things you want to know about the West, you can try asking me. Jiyu Changsheng had agreed to Gui's arrangement, so she was all right now. Gui could do many other things. Zhong thought for a moment and said, "Can someone help me find out if there are any dragons in the West?" "All right." Gui nodded. "I lack things. Do you have any spatial treasures? As long as you can break the array and send some news, I'll hear it." "I do, but the number of times it can be used is limited," Xing said. "That's all right. What should I do?" Liu nodded and asked. "Please help me persuade the Heavenly Spirit Tribe. If the price is too high, I can pay you other rewards," Xing said. Liu agreed. Jiang Hao knew that Xing was about to start his mission. Sure enough, Xing looked at him. "Are you going overseas, fellow disciple?" "Yes. I still need a few more months." "All right." Jiang Hao didn't say anything more. Suppressing the fallen immortal clan wasn't that easy. The Heavenly Spirit Tribe, Heavenly Saint Sect, and the fallen immortal clan would all interfere with his plan. Maybe even the Heavenly Spirit Tribe did not know where the divine item was. If they knew, they would not have given Xing the chance. Although the Heavenly Spirit Tribe had declined cooperation, they didn't know what the Shangguan clan was up to. They were still strong. There was no way for the Shangguan clan to get stronger without him. Shangguan Qingsu was very strong, but she was stuck at the early stage of the Immortal Ascension platform. After the trading phase, they talked about recent developments. Zhong was the first to speak. "The one with the Heavenly Tao Foundation establishment has already gone to the Astronomical Academy. She might really be able to comprehend the wordless heavenly book." "What is her cultivation realm?" Gui immediately asked. The others were also listening. For such an existence, the speed of her advancement was something astonishing. "If I'm not wrong, it should be the early stage of the Soul Ascension realm," Zhong said. Baizhu gaped. "Wasn't that too fast?" Before they parted ways, there was still quite a distance for her to reach the Soul Ascension realm. It didn't make sense that she had advanced so fast. "That's faster than expected. The one with the Heavenly Tao Foundation establishment is truly impressive." Liu couldn't help but sigh. Truly impressive. Xing was shocked. Although everyone knew that kind of advancement was very fast, it was hard to understand why it was. How could someone advance to the Soul Ascension realm even before their 30s? They couldn't believe it. "When is she going to read the book?" Gui asked. "Not yet anyway. We have to wait for the other sects to arrive and do it together," Zhong said. "The Dragon Cave is about to open. It should happen within these 2 months," said Liu. Jiang Hao lowered his head. It seemed that he would have to accept another mission from the task hall in the next 2 months. Another sum of spirit stones just gone. If this continued, his spirit stones would drop by 100,000. It seemed that he had to go overseas soon and sell some of his treasures. They might fetch him a lot of spirit stones. Previously, the people of the fallen immortal clan had given him a lot of treasures. There were some things he had yet to sort out. He couldn't leave the Heavenly Note sect without a good reason. Speaking of which, the Great Thousand God sect has been looking for a lantern-carrying disciple. They know where he is, so they should be visiting the Heavenly Note sect soon, Liu said. "Are they going to pick a fight?" Gui asked. She remembered something. "I heard that the Heavenly Note sect has been selecting disciples to be the top disciples. If the Great Thousand God sect were to pick a fight, could they really win against the top disciples? The sects that have visited the Great Thousand God sect have ended up badly. Besides, if it isn't the Great Thousand God sect, it'll be the end of all things. Who do you think will do it?" Everyone was speechless. Jiang Hao had a strange feeling about this. Many sects had visited the Heavenly Note sect in these few years. He felt that things would not go smoothly for the Great Thousand God sect. He remembered that the Heavenly Note sect had cooperated with the Heavenly Saint sect to deal with the Great Thousand God sect before. He did not know what would happen. However, the lantern bearer was indeed very important to the Great Thousand God sect. He had to pay him a visit when he was free. He hoped that he could learn more before the other party left. The 12 Heavenly Kings have started the process to become immortals, Liu said. It's just that Hai Luo hasn't returned yet. I wonder what they're planning. I heard that it's basically impossible for them to become immortals, Gui said with a smile. What do you need? Liu looked at Gui. I need the 4th heaven-bestowed cultivation technique of the Heavenly Spirit tribe, Gui said. Unless you can make them become immortals, it's not enough, Liu said with a smile. That was the reason why he could not become an immortal. I thought so. Gui nodded. Then, she said, I want a Dharma treasure that is compatible with the Heavenly Spirit tribe. I'll give you something in exchange depending on the result, Gui said. After that, they began to trade. Jiang Hao knew what Gui was going to say. After all, she had communicated with people like Jiyu Changsheng and Senior Kendo. After that, Jiang Hao heard about Kai Tian. He heard that the fallen immortal clan had already appeared overseas. It seemed like he was looking for something. After the party ended, Jiang Hao sat on the balcony and sighed. He felt that there were a lot of things going on lately. He had been busy the entire time and had not paid attention to the people around her. Looking down at the spirit beast drooling, Jiang Hao suddenly felt a little emotional. His gaze was erratic. He was too concerned about what was happening outside. It was easy to forget one's heart and neglect the things around. His emotions kept changing. As his cultivation increased, the things he faced became bigger and more dangerous. He always ran into problems that were way beyond his league. It was easy to feel arrogant. That way, he would slowly lose himself. If not for Hong Yuye, he might have already lost his way. Increasingly, he felt that he was losing himself. He had advanced too quickly. It was the easiest to get smug and make a mistake. Jiang Hao couldn't help but laugh at himself. I wonder if the one with the Heavenly Tao Foundation establishment has a similar problem. If not, I'm worse off than a little girl. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 966. Immense power. Jiang Hao sat cross-legged and listened to Gui's question. She was asking about the spiritual technique, Mountain Sea Insight. It was a potent spiritual technique that could raise the upper limit of the primordial spirit. Jiyu Changsheng must have given it to her. He had also told her about the best way to cultivate, but Gui was unsure if his words were trustworthy. She had asked for the gathering to ask Senior Dan Yuan's advice. Other than her, no one else had any other questions. Senior Dan Yuan only had one mission, and that was to obtain information about the Dragon Pearl. It wasn't any ordinary information. He wanted the whereabouts of the Dragon Clan and their current conditions. This information could probably only be found out after entering the Dragon Cave. Without any more missions, they proceeded to the trading phase. I still need to find the Saint Bandits, Gui said. If there are some things you want to know about the West, you can try asking me. Jiyu Changsheng had agreed to Gui's arrangement, so she was all right now. Gui could do many other things. Zhong thought for a moment and said, "Can someone help me find out if there are any dragons in the West?" "All right." Gui nodded. "I lack things. Do you have any spatial treasures? As long as you can break the array and send some news, I'll hear it." "I do, but the number of times it can be used is limited," Xing said. "That's all right. What should I do?" Liu nodded and asked. "Please help me persuade the Heavenly Spirit tribe. If the price is too high, I can pay you other rewards," Xing said. Liu agreed. Jiang Hao knew that Xing was about to start his mission. Sure enough, Xing looked at him. "Are you going overseas, fellow disciple?" "Yes. I still need a few more months." "All right." Jiang Hao didn't say anything more. Suppressing the fallen immortal clan wasn't that easy. The Heavenly Spirit tribe, Heavenly Saint sect, and the fallen immortal clan would all interfere with his plan. Maybe even the heavenly spirit tribe did not know where the divine item was. If they knew, they would not have given Xing the chance. Although the heavenly spirit tribe had declined cooperation, they didn't know what the Shangguan clan was up to. They were still strong. There was no way for the Shangguan clan to get stronger without him. Shangguan Qingsu was very strong, but she was stuck at the early stage of the Immortal Ascension platform. After the trading phase, they talked about recent developments. Zhong was the first to speak. The one with the Heavenly Tao Foundation establishment has already gone to the Astronomical Academy. She might really be able to comprehend the wordless heavenly book. What is her cultivation realm? Gui immediately asked. The others were also listening. For such an existence, the speed of her advancement was something astonishing. If I'm not wrong, it should be the early stage of the Soul Ascension realm, Zhong said. Baizhu gaped. Wasn't that too fast? Before they parted ways, there was still quite a distance for her to reach the Soul Ascension realm. It didn't make sense that she had advanced so fast. That's faster than expected. The one with the Heavenly Tao Foundation establishment is truly impressive. Liu couldn't help but sigh. Truly impressive. Xing was shocked. Although everyone knew that kind of advancement was very fast, it was hard to understand why it was. How could someone advance to the Soul Ascension realm even before their 30s? They couldn't believe it. When is she going to read the book? Gui asked. Not yet anyway. We have to wait for the other sects to arrive and do it together, Zhong said. The Dragon Cave is about to open. It should happen within these 2 months, said Liu. Jiang Hao lowered his head. It seemed that he would have to accept another mission from the task hall in the next 2 months. Another sum of spirit stones just gone. If this continued, his spirit stones would drop by 100,000. It seemed that he had to go overseas soon and sell some of his treasures. They might fetch him a lot of spirit stones. Previously, the people of the fallen immortal clan had given him a lot of treasures. There were some things he had yet to sort out. He couldn't leave the Heavenly Note sect without a good reason. Speaking of which, the Great Thousand God sect has been looking for a lantern-carrying disciple. They know where he is, so they should be visiting the Heavenly Note sect soon, Liu said. Are they going to pick a fight? Gui asked. She remembered something. I heard that the Heavenly Note sect has been selecting disciples to be the top disciples. If the Great Thousand God sect were to pick a fight, could they really win against the top disciples? The sects that have visited the Great Thousand God sect have ended up badly. Besides, if it isn't the Great Thousand God sect, it'll be the end of all things. Who do you think will do it? Everyone was speechless. Jiang Hao had a strange feeling about this. Many sects had visited the Heavenly Note sect in these few years. He felt that things would not go smoothly for the Great Thousand God sect. He remembered that the Heavenly Note sect had cooperated with the Heavenly Saint sect to deal with the Great Thousand God sect before. He did not know what would happen. However, the lantern bearer was indeed very important to the Great Thousand God sect. He had to pay him a visit when he was free. He hoped that he could learn more before the other party left. The 12 Heavenly Kings have started the process to become immortals, Liu said. It's just that Hai Luo hasn't returned yet. I wonder what they're planning. I heard that it's basically impossible for them to become immortals, Gui said with a smile. What do you need? Liu looked at Gui. I need the 4th heaven-bestowed cultivation technique of the Heavenly Spirit tribe, Gui said. Unless you can make them become immortals, it's not enough, Liu said with a smile. That was the reason why he could not become an immortal. I thought so. Gui nodded. Then, she said, I want a Dharma treasure that is compatible with the Heavenly Spirit tribe. I'll give you something in exchange depending on the result, Gui said. After that, they began to trade. Jiang Hao knew what Gui was going to say. After all, she had communicated with people like Jiyu Changsheng and Senior Kendo. After that, Jiang Hao heard about Kai Tian. He heard that the fallen immortal clan had already appeared overseas. It seemed like he was looking for something. After the party ended, Jiang Hao sat on the balcony and sighed. He felt that there were a lot of things going on lately. He had been busy the entire time and had not paid attention to the people around her. Looking down at the spirit beast drooling, Jiang Hao suddenly felt a little emotional. His gaze was erratic. He was too concerned about what was happening outside. It was easy to forget one's heart and neglect the things around. His emotions kept changing. As his cultivation increased, the things he faced became bigger and more dangerous. He always ran into problems that were way beyond his league. It was easy to feel arrogant. That way, he would slowly lose himself. If not for Hong Yuye, he might have already lost his way. Increasingly, he felt that he was losing himself. He had advanced too quickly. It was the easiest to get smug and make a mistake. Jiang Hao couldn't help but laugh at himself. I wonder if the one with the Heavenly Tao Foundation establishment has a similar problem. If not, I'm worse off than a little girl. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 967, I Can't Go Back Anymore. Under the moonlight, Jiang Hao landed in the courtyard. He looked at the heavenly fragrance Dao flower and remained silent for a long time. It was because of this flower that he had started getting involved in all sorts of things. However, at some point, fewer and fewer people paid attention to the heavenly fragrance Dao flower. Liu Xingchen had long since stopped paying attention to it. Instead, he had become more interested in Jiang Hao. The spirit beast that was sent to find the flower had become Jiang Hao's pet, which helped guard the flower. He didn't know what was going on with senior sister Ming Yi. She hadn't been here for a long time, and she wasn't an ordinary person either. Although her cultivation realm was not very high, she was good at scheming. There was always a knife hidden behind her smile. If he underestimated her, he would fall into a trap that he wouldn't come out of. Time did not only make a person let go of a person's resentment but also their purpose. Almost no one was targeting him presently. At the very least, the people from the Sunset Immortal sect would no longer keep an eye on him. Even though Heavenly Saint sect was still behind him, their matter was not urgent. At the end of the day, they didn't take him seriously. Slowly, they would completely forget about him. He wasn't a very noticeable person. As long as nothing big happened, he wouldn't attract anyone's attention. It was hard to say anything about the fallen immortal clan. After all, someone had once spied on the heavenly fate misfortune pearl. Therefore, the matter wasn't simple. The Heavenly Joy Pavilion no longer targeted him. Even if some of the fellow disciples hated him because of senior sister Yun Ruo, it was time to let it go. After all, he was already at the peak of the Golden Core realm. Jiang Hao sat down on the chair under the tree and took out a notebook to record everything from the gathering. Slow down. Look around and feel everything. Even if you run, you can't ignore your surroundings. Otherwise, your foundation won't be stable. Jiang Hao wrote these 2 sentences in his notebook. He just wanted to remind himself of it. Then, he began to write other things he had found out. Senior Dan Yuan only had one mission, which was related to the Dragon Clan. Senior Dan Yuan had been looking for a dragon for a long time. Liu and Zhong seemed to be looking for it too. There were also people from the Clear Sky School who seemed to be after the dragon. I feel like a lot of people are looking for dragons. I don't know why. Jiang Hao wanted to find one for Xiao Li. He wanted to see what was going on with Xiao Li. The other mission was to find out the origin of the Archean Abyss Dragon Pearl. Apart from Senior Dan Yuan's mission, he was going into the Dragon Cave to fulfill Zhong's task. The other thing was to find the divine item that could suppress the immortal seed of the fallen immortal clan. The matter was complicated. He might have to face the Great Thousand God sect, the end of all things, the Heavenly Saint sect, the Heavenly Spirit tribe, and the fallen immortal clan together. It was a highly dangerous task. However, there were benefits too. He could wipe the divine items for bubbles as much as he wanted. It could also help him suppress the immortal seed of the fallen immortal clan. According to Jiyu Jin, that kind of thing was unavoidable. However, Jiang Hao didn't want to stop the Great Era War from happening. He just wanted to buy himself some time to avoid danger. After writing down everything, Jiang Hao started reading his notes. He stopped cultivating. His cultivation realm couldn't improve much. What he needed to do now was to calm his state of mind. It would allow him to better understand his current strength instead of letting it affect his mindset. Cultivation was not only about physical strength but also about strengthening the mind. The sky had brightened. The spirit beast was still sleeping soundly. The sun's rays were simply dazzling. Suddenly, the spirit beast sat up in a daze. Jiang Hao was a little surprised. Why did it suddenly wake up early today? Master, you're up. The spirit beast wiped its saliva and got up. Is Xiao Li here? No. I haven't seen her. Jiang Hao looked at the spirit beast. What are you planning? Xiao Li is going to compete for the position of the top disciples. I want my friends in the underworld to help her. My friends will definitely help and clear a path for her. She'll succeed in the selection round. Jiang Hao was speechless. Wasn't Xiao Li afraid of repercussions? However, there was no problem if Xiao Li won. No one really wanted to challenge her openly. After telling them not to fight recklessly, Jiang Hao let it be. No one could compete with Xiao Li, after all. She would be fine. Xiao Li was also a true disciple. None of her peers at the same level dared to fight her and win. She was someone who dared to sleep in the middle of senior Kendo's lectures. Her reputation even surpassed that of the notorious spirit beast. After that, Jiang Hao headed to the spirit herb garden. This time, he was not in a hurry. Instead, he walked by the stream and felt the changes in the water. He looked at the sunlight dancing on the stream. Occasionally, he even stopped to watch the fish in the water. When he came back to his senses, he realized that it was getting late. He had to go to the spirit herb garden to tend to the herbs. He recalled that he used to do this when he was young. He would stare at others across the river but could never join them. He didn't fit in with them. When it was time, he would head back home to chop some firewood. How many years has it been? 37 years. He felt bittersweet at the passage of time. It was unsettling how time passed. Many years and memories had been erased, just like that. The place he had lived in, the places where he used to play with his friends, all were gone. They were distant memories. Suddenly, he felt something strange. After hesitating for a moment, he used Heavenly Secret's hidden talisman and left the sect. After a long time, Jiang Hao appeared in Fallen City. This city had also experienced the brunt of the passage of time. Everything felt old. The last time he had been here, Hong Yuye had come with him. In the past, he had not dared to leave the sect without her. At that moment, he appeared in the city without a second thought. He did not know why it had felt so strange. The streets of Fallen City were not as lively as before. Jiang Hao couldn't find any familiar faces as he walked past one shop after another. Only the inn remained where it had been. The roast duck restaurant that he liked had become a shop for clothes. Hao felt disappointed, but there was nothing he could do. The world moved on. People and things changed with time. And experiences became a distant past. All that was left were bittersweet memories. Jiang Hao arrived at his childhood home. The door was tightly shut, just like before, and the surroundings were filled with unfamiliar people. The place was surrounded by burly men. "May I ask what is going on here?" Jiang Hao asked a man dressed in a coarse robe beside him. He even handed over a spirit stone. The other party was a little surprised and quickly waved his hand dismissively. "Young man, you're too polite. This place is about to be torn down. Minister Chen bought this land. He wants to build a large courtyard here." "Who bought it?" Jiang Hao was surprised. The walls had fallen off. The place was old. "Minister Chen. The place is very old, and there is no one living in it. Minister Chen is a kind person. He paid a lot for the people who were living here to find a better home." The man sighed. "Well, I'm kind of busy. I'll leave you to it." Jiang Hao nodded. He looked at the old house where he was born and raised. He heard the crowd of men working together to dismantle the whole house. 1, 2, 3. Now. Boom. Jiang Hao raised his head as his childhood home collapsed. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 968. The sign of becoming an immortal. Jiang Hao stood there for a long time. Some of the men walked around him to avoid getting in his way. They saw that this young man was dressed in silk and satin. He didn't speak much but had a powerful presence. He looked like a nobleman. They couldn't offend him. When the house was completely destroyed, Jiang Hao sighed softly. He felt like a part of him was gone forever and would never return. At that moment, he walked to the old man who was taking a break in a corner. "Grandpa, may I ask you a question?" The old man was eating some snacks. He raised his head to look at the person who had talked to him and got up in a panic. "Young man, don't startle me like that. My heart can't take it." "I apologize," Jiang Hao said gently. "I just wanted to ask you about the people who were living in that house." He pointed in the direction of his childhood home. "You mean the old man and the old woman?" "Yes." "Did they move away?" Jiang Hao nodded. Since he was here anyway, he wanted to see them. "They left a few years ago." The old man sighed. Jiang Hao lowered his head in thought. He thanked the old man and left. As he walked out of Fallen City, he glanced back. If this city also disappeared one day, what would be left of his past? People went through many things in their lives, and memories haunted them. Everyone had some regret that they couldn't overcome. The cultivation world was no different. Whenever he remembered his lowest point, he would look back at his roots and remember where he had come from. There was no other way but forward. The path of immortality was right before him. The past was best left behind. Life was for the living. Jiang Hao sighed heavily and took a step forward. At that moment, a light shone around him, and he disappeared from where he was. He was as bright as the sun and as fleeting as a speck of dust at that moment. Jiang Hao seemed to have learned a lot and learned nothing at the same time. However, the opportunity that Shongan had given him had paved his path. It seemed like his power could burst out at any time. When he was back in the courtyard, Jiang Hao didn't go to the spirit herb garden right away. Instead, he sat under the peach tree and looked at the fruits. He felt that his power had become clearer, and everything was within his grasp. Although it was strange, he seemed to have become stronger. His cultivation was more solid and refined than before. "I wonder how long it will take the tree to bear fruit after becoming a divine tree." The thought troubled him. If it couldn't bear fruit once a year, should he just wait and do nothing? "It takes that tree 3,000 years to bloom, another 3,000 years to bear fruit, and 3,000 years to mature," said a voice suddenly. Jiang Hao jumped up from the chair. He could smell the familiar scent even before he could see her. He turned around and saw Hong Yuye. "Greetings, senior." Jiang Hao lowered his head and bowed. Hong Yuye looked at him. "The bad luck on you is intense today." Jiang Hao was puzzled. He had not touched anything unlucky this time. Then, he thought of the Shangguan clan. "What did you do?" Hong Yuye asked after sitting down. "I went to Fallen City," Jiang Hao said. "For what?" Hong Yuye looked up at him. "We first found the stone tablet in Fallen City. I went to see if I could find out anything more about it," said Jiang Hao. Hong Yuye nodded. "What did you find?" "Nothing at the moment," Jiang Hao said. Hong Yuye chuckled. Then, she asked about the gathering and learned about the Dragon Cave. "The Dragon Cave is about to open?" "Yes. In the next month or two." "Are you ready?" "Almost." Jiang Hao had done everything he could, but he was not as strong. No matter what he did, it was very difficult for him to accumulate 100 points in order to advance further. Therefore, he had to make do with whatever cultivation realm he was at the moment. As for the mountain sea seal, it could be upgraded. If he sold some of his things overseas, he would be able to exchange them for a lot of spirit stones. It was definitely not enough for incarnation, but it was still possible to digest some of the Holy Master's divine soul. That way, his strength and power would increase by a lot, and the seal would be even more powerful. It would be useful when going to the Dragon Cave. Hong Yuye did not say anything. Jiang Hao, on the other hand, was making tea for her. She did not ask for September spring, so he brewed something else. The peach tree would take 3,000 years to bloom, 3,000 years to bear fruit, and another 3,000 years to mature. In total, 9 thought years. Was there really a need for incarnation if it took that long? It was useless even if he could become an immortal instantly. He would anyway be stronger in 9,000 years than he was at the moment. After pouring tea for Hong Yuye, Jiang Hao sat down and poured himself a cup. He was curious whether he could get more information on Hong Yuye if he appraised her. However, he never had the chance. He didn't dare to appraise her when she was awake. So, he had to wait until she fell asleep. He could appraise her when he was so deeply asleep that she couldn't hear him call her name. He had made it to the Immortal Ascension platform. It was possible that the appraisal might reveal more information about her. Hong Yuye took a sip of tea. Your sect is going to start the selection soon? Yes. Jiang Hao nodded. Do you want to participate? Yes. I also want to test my strength. Is that so? Are you confident in yourself? Jiang Hao thought for a moment. I'm not sure yet. Lately, I've been thinking of observing some seniors in the same realm as me. I've just advanced to the peak of the Golden Core realm, so I might not have an advantage. Hong Yuye laughed. Cautious as ever, I see. It's safer to be careful. Jiang Hao lowered his head. Overseas, in the Heavenly Tower, Mr. Dao walked to a pavilion and sat down. Zhu Shen followed him. Mr. Dao, the dragon cave is about to open. Shall we watch from afar? Mr. Dao nodded. Will the Great Thousand God sect succeed? Zhu Shen was curious. It's hard to say, but there should be quite a number of people entering that place. Everyone is confident. It'll just depend on who loses in the end. But we still have to be careful. There might be some unusual changes in the dragon cave, Mr. Dao said after some thought. Zhu Shen was puzzled. Mr. Dao did not elaborate on it. Instead, he said, send a letter to the 12 heavenly kings. They have more information about the dragon clan. It might be helpful to us. Also, ask them how we can contact the Saint Bandits. The 12 heavenly kings might not cooperate with us, said Zhu Shen awkwardly. Mr. Dao took out the 4 treasures of the study and wrote a letter. He handed it to Zhu Shen. Give them this. They will come to Heavenly Tower. You just need to tell them what we need. Zhu Shen took the envelope in disbelief. However, Mr. Dao never played around. It meant that Mr. Dao had a bargaining chip. Perhaps he knew how they could ascend to immortality. By the way, have you made arrangements for the Heavenly Spirit tribe? Mr. Dao suddenly asked. Yes. They'll give it their all, Zhu Shen said. All right, well wait. Mr. Dao looked at the endless sea outside and sighed with emotion. He hoped that he wouldn't have to flee this time. For a moment, he understood how a certain someone felt. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 969. Did you do something again? In the Heavenly Spirit tribe, a middle-aged man led a young man along the corridor outside a building by the sea. You've been dealing with a lot of things lately, the middle-aged man said calmly. His steps were steady, his eyes were cold, and he had a powerful presence. He was the current leader of the Heavenly Spirit tribe. He was not the strongest in the Heavenly Spirit tribe, but his leadership capabilities and his potential convinced everyone that he was the right person to follow. I did my best, said Tong Wu and lowered his head in respect. You're neither a pushover nor stubborn just because you are chosen. As expected of someone from the Heavenly Spirit tribe, said the leader and smiled. We will find a way to send your mother's memorial tablet to the ancestral hall. Although she was ordinary, her son is a prodigy. That'll be enough. However, you still lack an opportunity to do something that would affect the entire tribe. I hope you understand what I am saying. Tong Wu lowered his head and said gratefully, thank you. I would rather die than refuse your instructions. All right. What you need to do now is to find the ancestral land, said the leader. You know that our Heavenly Spirit tribe has 2 ancestral lands. One is known to us but is extremely difficult to enter, and the other is unknown. It concerns the future of our tribe. You just need to find that place. We only have a rough location of the place. We haven't been able to find it, let alone enter it. The place should be in that area. The leader pointed ahead. Will this ancestral land move again? Tongwu was surprised. Yes. It might, and it's very difficult to know how or why. The things we know are because of the advantage of our bloodline. But still, we only have a rough idea, said the leader of the tribe. Tongwu thought for a moment. It's not easy to find that place. Many places are forbidden to enter, especially for the tribe. Don't worry. As long as we seek it in peace, it'll open its doors for us. The leader chuckled. Just do your best to find it. All right. Tongwu was excited. I'll not disappoint you. The leader laughed. All right. After Tongwu left, the smile on the leader's face disappeared. Any thoughts? He asked. He seemed to be talking to himself. At that moment, a figure appeared in the shadow behind him. I can't see any flaws, but there must be a problem. He just doesn't know about it. Based on my findings, there are two possibilities. The first is that some people who can't bear to see us regain our members are causing trouble. The other is that some people believe we're incompetent and can't destroy divine items, so they send people to interfere. The tribe leader smiled. Let him search. Regardless of the possibilities, he probably doesn't know that the place is much more complicated to find than he expected. Entering it is the least of his problems. That place isn't for the heavenly spirit tribe. Besides, he doesn't even know how to activate the divine item. All those techniques were lost 1,000 years ago. Even the Shenyuan clan's techniques are fake. The tribe leader looked disdainful. He was fearless. The next day, Jiang Hao watched Hong Yuya leave with some regret. She didn't leave last night, but she didn't fall asleep either. He did not have the chance to appraise her. However, he couldn't rush these things. Jiang Hao didn't dwell on it and left the courtyard. As soon as he went out, he saw the spirit beast face down near the river. Its face was swollen and bruised. When it saw Jiang Hao, it said, "Master, you're shameless." Jiang Hao looked at the beast in confusion. Why do I, Lord Beast, suffer whenever she comes to visit you? She has no respect for me. Jiang Hao sighed. It was wailing about its bruised face again. Master, you have to work hard. Why don't you find a mistress who is sweet and can birth a little version of you? At least, people will respect me then, said the spirit beast. Jiang Hao looked at it without saying anything. He chuckled and walked toward the spirit herb garden. He asked about the 9 nether. Little Wang already knows how to bark. It helps Xiao Li look after the courtyard at night. It bites those who are unfamiliar, said the spirit beast. Jiang Hao was a little surprised. The 9 nether had changed so much. When Xiao Li arrived at the spirit herb garden, Jiang Hao saw that there was a little black puppy following her. It ate the weeds and wagged its tail. It was a little bigger than before. Perhaps it wouldn't take long for it to become a grown dog. However, it fed on the spirit, and if it wanted to become stronger, it needed to feed on the spirit continuously. It was not that easy to become stronger. However, 9 nether had an advantage in terms of mental fortitude. Perhaps he could take it along to the dragon cave. That way, even if there were traps, Jiang Hao would be able to deal with them. He still needed Hong Yuye's help for that. He suddenly remembered that the 1 heart palm was still imprinted on his chest from the time he went to the blood pool. The effects of the 1 heart palm were much more powerful than he had expected. Jiang Hao stopped thinking about it and waited for the dragon cave to open. A month later, around the end of September, Jiang Hao saw a message from Liu on the stone tablet. The dragon cave was about to open. Many people had already started to head there. Jiang Hao knew that it was time for him to go too. He sighed and opened his interface. He wanted to see how far he was from advancing to the next stage. Name, Jiang Hao, age, 42, cultivation, peak of the Immortal Ascension platform, cultivation method, Heavenly Sound 100 revolutions, Hongmeng Heart Sutra, divine ability, 9 revolutions death substitution, unique, daily appraisal, clear and pure heart. Reappearance of hidden spirit, divine might, revival of withered tree, heavenly cauldron, indestructible Vaja, myriad nature forest, lifeblood, 28-100, can be cultivated, cultivation, 27-100, can be cultivated, divine abilities, 03. Cannot be obtained, there's still a lot to cover. He did not know how long it would take for him to advance. I have to find out what the Immortal Ascension Conference will be like as soon as possible. That information could not be found in the library pavilion. The level was too high. Even if he could find something, it would only be a few words and would not be of much help to him. He had to ask Hong Yuye or Ji Yu Jin. He could ask Hong Yuye anytime. Ji Yu Jin, on the other hand, was elusive. Speaking of which, why hasn't Feng Hua made a sound lately? Jiang Hao suddenly realized that Feng Hua had been very quiet. Hai Ming had not come over to meet him. It was as if he did not take Jiang Hao seriously anymore. It was as if he was forgotten. Meanwhile, he saw Gui and Zhong chatting on the stone tablet. They mentioned that Yang Shong had disappeared, and the Sunset Immortal sect was searching for her. Jiang Hao was puzzled. However, at that moment, a gust of wind blew past. A fragrance wafted along with the wind. Jiang Hao, who had been looking at the stone tablet, was shocked. He looked back and felt a surge of power. When he saw who it was, his aura instantly disappeared. Did you do something again? Hong Yuye sneered. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 970. The Demoness is surprised her long hair swayed in the wind. He had not noticed her arrival, but there was an unfamiliar fragrance in the air. He had activated the heavenly cauldron instantly as a defense. The 9 heavens battle armor immediately reacted. He had almost activated the golden rings to escape. There was a golden ring in the Astronomical Academy. That would be the best place to seek refuge in. There was one overseas as well. He didn't dare to enter the corpse realm yet. However, when he saw it was just Hong Yuye, he calmed down. He hadn't done anything wrong. The fragrance was unfamiliar, so he had become defensive. Senior, you must be joking. Then, he offered Hong Yuye a seat. He then started to make tea. How many divine powers did you use just then? Hong Yuye asked with interest. Senior, you're always sharp as usual. I used 2. He said truthfully. How about that? Hong Yuye looked at Jiang Hao's armor. It's a treasure that was given to me by the sect, Jiang Hao said. Your sect seems to treat you quite well. He felt like she was implying something with those words. Jiang Hao immediately said, I can't compare to even 1,000th of your strength, senior. Hong Yuye chuckled. Then, he started drinking tea. Jiang Hao heaved a sigh of relief. He understood what she meant. If he decided to follow the sect and do things for them just because he received gifts, he would be in trouble. Regardless of what she was thinking, he was on her side. Whatever she gave him was extraordinary. Whether it was the 7 forms of Heavenly Blade, the Nameless Manual, or the Light and Dust technique, they had helped him become powerful. The divine god pills she gave him had saved his life many times. Come here, Hong Yuye suddenly said. Jiang Hao didn't dare hesitate. He leaned over. At that moment, Hong Yuye raised her hand and pressed it on his chest. He felt a familiar stinging pain. It was the one heart palm. A moment later, the pain disappeared, and Hong Yuye withdrew her hand. Jiang Hao heaved a sigh of relief. He had not been sent flying this time. What were you looking at just now? Hong Yuye asked. I was watching the people on the stone tablet. They mentioned the Dragon Cave and Feng Hua's avatar. The Dragon Cave is about to open, and some people are heading there. Meanwhile, Feng Hua's avatar has disappeared. It might be related to her main body. This might be our chance, Jiang Hao said. He really wanted to get rid of Feng Hua once and for all. She was too dangerous. She might attack Xiao Li and the others for revenge. However, no one could find her. It was puzzling why her avatar had disappeared so suddenly. Are you ready to go overseas? Hong Yuye asked. There's still one last thing I need to prepare, he said. He told her about the 9 nether. Hong Yuye refused to help this time. She said he could just take Xiao Li's little dog with him. Jiang Hao was puzzled. Hong Yuye looked at him. Too much consciousness will cause chaos in the netherworld. Jiang Hao knew about that. However, he could not stay in the dragon cave for too long. Since Hong Yuye said so, he had no choice. It seemed that he had to borrow little Wang from Xiao Li, after all. After confirming that they would set off in 2 days, Hong Yuye asked curiously, "Aren't you going to compete for the top disciple's position? You said you wanted to test yourself." Jiang Hao took out his notebook. He opened it and showed her the list of 6 people. "Senior, please take a look at this. There are 6 people in total. Senior Sister Du of the White Moon Lake is skilled in the 5 elements. She has been at the peak of the Golden Core realm for a long time now and is only 2 to 3 years away from advancing further. There is also Law Enforcement Hall's senior brother Hu. It is said that he is the #1 person in the primordial spirit realm and is proficient in the art of thunder. And the Heavenly Joy Pavilion." Hong Yuye looked at the list in surprise. It was even more surprising that Jiang Hao had done his due diligence in finding out so much about his opponents. "Senior, do you think I have a chance of winning?" Jiang Hao asked after a short while. Hong Yuye looked carefully at the person in front of her and drank her tea without saying a word. 3 days later, Jiang Hao received a mission from the task hall. The deadline was 3 months. He also handed over the remaining spirit stones from before. "Don't worry, junior brother Jiang," said the senior sister who was always at the reception. "You can hand it in next time." Jiang Hao chuckled and thanked her. He went to the Lawless Tower but did not see the lantern bearer. It seemed that he was taken to the upper floor at the last minute because of his special talent. Jiang Hao did not find out much about that. He was leaving today. He found Cheng Cho and briefed him on the matters of the garden. Cheng Cho nodded. Then, he hesitated. "Senior brother Jiang, many people have been talking about you these days. The rumor is that you are using the Blood Wish path to get stronger and participate in the selection round. They also say that you intend to use that path to deceive people. Everyone thinks it's lowly to exchange and shorten one's lifespan to advance further in cultivation. The spiritual energy is dark and chaotic but weak. They say you aren't qualified to compete with the others. If such a person as yourself got selected, it would be a disgrace to others. They say you should give up on the selection round." Cheng Cho sounded angry. He trusted Jiang Hao and knew that he wasn't following the Blood Wish path. He wanted to fight back, but he needed Jiang Hao's consent. "Don't mind them. Let them say whatever they want. As long as they don't do anything, there is no need to care. If anyone does anything while I'm away, find senior brother Mu Chi," Jiang Hao said. "All right." Cheng Cho nodded. Cheng Cho was curious why Jiang Hao wasn't more frustrated. He always accepted everything calmly. He wouldn't be able to do that. Jiang Hao did not say anything further. He had many things to worry about, and the people spreading rumors about him were the last on his list. He did not care for them. After that, he went to senior brother Mu Chi's residence and began to set up the mountain sea seal. He was worried that the Holy Master might come back to attack them. When he was around, he could help them. It would be too late if the enemy attacked when he was too far away. Besides, if he suppressed the immortal seed, many enemies would attack the sect. This time, the mark he set up was stronger than before. After everything was done, he asked to borrow little Wang and left the Heavenly Note sect. He disappeared from his spot. On the other side, Ming Yi woke up from her cultivation. She touched the area between her eyebrows and trembled in fear. How should I stop him? She knew that Miao Tinglian could help her, but she had refused to even acknowledge her, so Ming Yi had no choice. Mu Chi's strength was too great for her to make a move. There was still room for negotiation. If she recklessly attacked them, there would be no room for compromise. He sighed wearily and decided to visit the spirit herb garden. Perhaps she could use Jiang Hao's help. He did seem close with Mu Chi and Miao Tinglian. As long as he asked for help, they would agree. However, when she arrived at the garden, the spirit beast said, "Master has gone out." Ming Yi sighed. Every time she visited, Jiang Hao seemed out. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 971. The Demoness was staring at him versus, in the backyard of the Shangwon clan, the waves surged and crashed against the mountain. At that moment, a figure walked out from inside. Looks like this place is well protected. Jiang Hao looked around and saw that there was an array covering the area, and many people were patrolling it. He was quite surprised. They were feeling better. There was a new power growing in their bodies. What has happened? It wasn't like that when he was helping Shangwon Qingsu. At that moment, he felt a sharp pain in his chest, and then a red and white figure appeared beside him. It was Hong Yuye. Jiang Hao bowed. Greetings, senior. Hong Yuye also saw the people below and frowned. Jiang Hao felt that she was also surprised at their rebirth. This place is ominous, Hong Yuye said coldly. That made sense. This place had been cursed for numerous years. It was indeed unlucky. The people were born with a curse that they couldn't escape. Bad luck was inevitable here. Jiang Hao didn't stay any longer and left with Hong Yuye. He had reached a very high realm. He was even more impressive under the sunlight. His state of mind was clear. Nothing could affect him. It was extraordinary. When he reappeared, he was on the surface of the sea. He had to find a place to ask around about the dragon cave. It should not be that difficult. However, out of curiosity, he asked about the Shangwon clan. New power? Hong Yuye looked at him. It's not something new. That is the power of the longevity clan that remained suppressed because of the curse. You helped get rid of their curse, so their power is recovering. Will they be very powerful in the future? Jiang Hao asked. If the curse doesn't linger, I think so, Hong Yuye said calmly. The stronger they get, the less willing they'll be to remain restrained. They should even be able to escape control in the future, Jiang Hao said seriously. He had wanted to use the Shangwon clan to help complete Hong Yuye's task. He needed to find another reason to keep them bound. Otherwise, it would be difficult to explain to Hong Yuye why he needed them. Hong Yuye looked at the person in front of her and chuckled. After flying for some distance, Jiang Hao found that there were no islands around. It was surprising. It seemed that he might not find anyone to ask about the cave. He took out a bell. Tang Wei had given it to him. He shook it. The crisp sound spread. After a while, a woman flew over on her sword. She was in her early 30s and was dressed in luxurious clothes. Her hair was fitted into a bun. She was in the middle stage of the soul ascension realm. When she saw Jiang Hao, she greeted him respectfully. Fellow disciple, are you looking for the heavenly tower? Imji Yulan, the wanderer of the heavenly tower. Jiang Hao smiled. We want to know where the dragon cave is. Dragon cave, said Ji Yulan. What do you plan to use in exchange for that information? Also, it would be great if you could drop your name. The folding fan opened, and the words Smiling San Sheng flashed on it. Do you still want me to announce my name? Smiling San Sheng? Ji Yulan was a bit surprised. Forgive me, senior. To show her sincerity, Ji Yulan told him the location of the cave and even gave him a map. She also told him some other secrets. The secret was that the dragon cave was not all it seemed. It was a trap. Jiang Hao paid her 5,000 spirit stones. There were still 130,000 spirit stones left with him. The spirit stones bought him a map of the overseas islands. He asked her about the powerful individuals that might be around the dragon cave. The information she gave him was very detailed. It was a pity the gathering didn't depend on exchanging spirit stones. He would have been rich if that were the case. Senior, are you going to Colored Glass Island now? It will take a long time to get there. If you're in a hurry, you can take a boat. Ji Yulan pointed in the distance. There's a small island there. A ship will arrive there soon. You'll probably reach Colored Glass Island in 2 days. When will the dragon cave open? Jiang Hao asked. In at least half a month, Ji Yulan said. Jiang Hao nodded. Since that was the case, he would go to the ship first. That way, He could find out more. After a while, they reached a small island. Jiang Hao looked down. In the blink of an eye, a huge wooden boat rose from the depths of the sea and stopped in front of the island. "We're here," Ji Yulan said seriously. "Senior, please follow me." Jiang Hao was a little surprised that they were actually walking at the bottom of the sea. The previous ship had not dived to the bottom of the sea. It was dangerous for a ship to be underwater. He did not know which sect or organization the ship belonged to. However, it was simple enough to board. No one was there to ask for spirit stones as fees. They did have to buy a token to get off the ship, though. It was indeed much more practical than that ship he had boarded, which belonged to the end of all things. It cost him a total of 6,000 spirit stones. Jiang Hao felt that it was easy for these people to earn spirit stones in this way. 3,000, he might not even be able to earn it in a month. Jiang Hao sighed and walked to the deck. At that time, the ship had already entered the seabed. The power of the formation was evident in the surroundings. He traveled quickly in the water as if he had entered an uninhabited land. Jiang Hao sighed with emotion. He had never seen the underwater world before. It was not endless darkness. A faint blue light illuminated the surroundings. "I heard that this path will pass by the land of Saint Bandits," said a middle-aged man as he walked to Jiang Hao's side with a smile. "I haven't seen you here before, fellow disciple. Is this your first time in this area?" "I think so." Jiang Hao smiled and nodded. "We can really pass by the Saint Bandits. Fellow disciple, do you know about the figure that appeared at the bottom of the sea? It's said to be related to a certain sect in the south," said the middle-aged man. "Yeah." Jiang Hao nodded. "I've heard a thing or two about it. I also heard it was around here." "Yes, this is the place." The middle-aged man nodded. "That's why this place is called Saint Bandits Land. Perhaps this place connects the Saint Bandits and also the south. Can this place be connected to the exact location of the Saint Bandits?" asked a voice from afar. A woman walked over. Although the Saint Bandits are in the sea, their location is not fixed. This place might not connect to the real location of the Saint Bandits. Jiang Hao looked at her in surprise. It was Nangong Yu from the Lawless Tower. She was a part of the Heavenly Spirit tribe and a Saint Bandit. He did not expect her to be here. "Then, how do we get to where the Saint Bandits are?" asked the middle-aged man. "There's no way. The Saint Bandits are sealed off. No one can reach them. Of course, it's not impossible to find them if you have a certain ability," said Nangong Yu. Jiang Hao was stunned. He stole a glance at Hong Yuye and realized that she was also looking at him. Her eyes seemed to suggest something. Jiang Hao was speechless. Was the special ability the Heaven Lock technique? If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 972, Releasing the Nine Nether among the Saint Bandits. The most outstanding thing was not their members or their ideals. It was the Heaven Lock technique that could support all theories. Even if the current members of the Saint Bandits could steal some people's talents, they could also give them strength. However, compared to the Heaven Lock technique, there was a world of difference. The person who could find the Saint Bandits must have learned the Heaven Lock technique. From all aspects, once one learned the Heaven Lock technique, they would have a high status among the Saint Bandits. "You know quite a lot about them. May I know where you are from?" asked the middle-aged man curiously. "I'm from the Heavenly Spirit tribe," Nangong Yu said coldly. "The land of Saint Bandits is extremely sacred. It's best not to talk too much about it. Otherwise, it'll cause trouble." The middle-aged man nodded. Then, he left silently. Jiang Hao looked at Nangong Yu curiously. "Are you a Saint Bandit?" Nangong Yu was shocked when she heard his words. She had never seen anyone so bold as to disregard others and call her out. Nangong Yu ignored him and turned to leave. Jiang Hao watched as she walked away to meet up with an old woman. She might also be a member of the Saint Bandits. Peak of the Soul Ascension realm. How long has it been? She has already recovered so much of her strength. Jiang Hao was surprised. The cultivation realm of the Saint Bandits recovered very quickly. Jiang Hao stopped paying attention to the other party and turned to the person beside him. He asked curiously, "Senior, do you know where the land of Saint Thieves is?" Hong Yuye glanced at him but did not speak. Jiang Hao didn't ask anything further. There were many strange things in the depths of the sea, such as the sea monsters that suddenly swam past the fierce beasts with many tentacles. It reminded him of the sea monsters in the sea fog cave. They seemed to hold grudges. It had been a long time since they last met. He wondered if the other party still hated him. There was no way to tell whether it was day or night at the bottom of the sea. Only when they reached the shore would they know what the weather was like outside. They could avoid storms easily at the bottom of the sea. Sometimes, they would see the deep sea freeze like a stream extending into the distance. While Jiang Hao was admiring the scenery, he suddenly heard a low roar. He turned around and found that someone's spirit pet was walking on the deck. It had spiritual flames burning on his body. Its cultivation realm was not high, but its aura was extraordinary. It must be an amazing spirit pet. It looked like a lion but had yet to mature. It was staring at a young girl. It looked like it was on a hunt and was ready to pounce at any moment. The girl retreated in fear and quickly asked for help. An old man stood in front of the girl. He used a spell to attack the spirit pet. However, the spirit pet was wild and difficult to tame. It suddenly attacked. Boom! Another spell collided with it. The spirit pet was sent flying. Its eyes filled with anger. When others heard a commotion, a woman walked out from inside the small room. Seeing the spirit pet in a sorry state, anger rose in her heart. "Who injured my spirit pet?" "Senior, I didn't hurt your spirit pet, but it attacked this little girl." "We were only trying to defend ourselves," said the old man hurriedly. "Why would it attack if you didn't do anything?" said the woman. "You must have done something." "I really only pushed it back a little." "I didn't do anything to harm it," said the old man. He was still shielding the young girl. "Pushed it back? And you have the gall to say you didn't do anything at all," said the woman coldly. "Senior, I'm sorry, but your pet attacked us first," said the young girl after mustering up her courage. "This spirit pet of mine likes to purify its spirit. It was only looking at you. It wouldn't ever stack anyone. Even the owner of the ship knows this." "Who attacked my pet and crippled its hand?" shouted the woman. In an instant, 2 guards behind the woman walked out and arrived in front of the old man in the blink of an eye. One of the guards pulled the old man's arm and twisted it behind his back. There was a crack and some blood. The guard pulled the arm apart and threw it into the sea. There was a scream, and the young girl started crying. The woman slapped the young girl across the face. "Please, let us go," said the girl and begged. "Let you go," the woman said in a low voice. "Do you see what you did to my spirit pet? How are you going to pay for it?" The people watching did not interfere. Jiang Hao crouched down and looked at the proud lion in the distance. Then, he gathered a wisp of his spirit. It was pure and flawless. Sure enough, the creature instantly turned to him and quickly walked over. It looked very aggressive, as though it would pounce any minute. Jiang Hao smiled and let little Wang out. The latter was a little confused but saw the spirit pet in front of it. Its eyes emitted a golden light. It looked at Jiang Hao. "Eat, it's already delivered to your doorstep," Jiang Hao said gently. The moment it saw little Wang, the spirit pet trembled. It looked terrified. It screamed and wanted to escape. However, little Wang pounced on him. In an instant, it bit off half of the spirit pet's body. The sharp screams were deafening. It attracted everyone's attention. The woman looked over and saw that half of her spirit pet had been eaten. It was looking at her for help. It looked at her in despair, and then, bam! A large black dog swallowed her spirit pet in one go. For a moment, it became eerily silent. The sudden change left everyone in disbelief. Nangong Yu felt her scalp go numb as she watched the scene. Jiang Hao waved his hand, and the black dog returned to his hand. He grabbed the black dog's fur. "Whose spirit pet is that? Why didn't you take care of it? Now, my little Wang has gone and eaten it. What am I to do if little Wang gets indigestion? At that moment, the woman looked over at him. She was trembling in anger. She gritted her teeth. Kill him. Tear him into pieces. In an instant, the two guards whistled past like black shadows. Just when everyone thought that everything was over, a saber light swept across the area. Boom. In an instant, the guard exploded. His guts and blood sprayed all around the deck. The woman was shocked. She looked around but didn't see Jiang Hao. Are you looking for me? Said a voice near her ear. The woman turned and looked behind her. When she saw Jiang Hao smiling, she trembled in fear. Then, a blade light swept across her eyes. A cold and mocking voice reached her ears. Take proper care of your spirit pets next time. Otherwise, it'll be very displeased. The woman could not react. In the end, she fell unconscious. Everything had happened so fast. She thought there was no one on the ship stronger than her, but she was wrong. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 973, Demoness. Were you pretending just now? The people watching were shocked at all the blood on the deck. The old man who had lost an arm was even more terrified. The girl behind him was also afraid. After hesitating for a long time, the old man finally said, Senior, you shouldn't have killed her. She's, Jiang Hao put his finger to his lips. Don't tell me who she is. I simply don't care. The words shocked everyone. They weren't shocked by his name but by his words. He didn't care who she was, but he had killed her. They had never seen such arrogance before. Nangong Yu looked at smiling San Sheng. She had never seen such a crazy person before. He was reckless and unpredictable. Such people were not to be trifled with. It was no wonder he dared to ask her if she was a saint bandit. Smiling San Sheng, she didn't know much about him, but she remembered where she had heard his name before. For a moment, she was curious. If such a person was taken to the Lawless Tower, would he be stronger than Hai Luo? Nangong Yu shook her head at the thought. However, King Hai Luo couldn't get out. If he did, who knew what he would do? Would he act like he did on the 5th floor of the tower, or would he try not to stir up trouble? He is in trouble now, the old woman said. Why? Was she someone powerful? Nangong Yu asked. No, it's because the ship doesn't allow killing, said the old woman as she looked at smiling San Sheng. He just killed 3 people in an instant. He won't be allowed to stay abroad unless he wants to create trouble with the owners of the ship. Jiang Hao also felt a powerful pressure. He felt the gaze of that old woman. The guardians of the ship might be arriving at the scene soon too. Sure enough, footsteps came from the cabin. A middle-aged man with a powerful aura walked out. The deep sea seemed to be surging behind him. The moment he saw the person, Jiang Hao knew that this person's strength was connected to the sea. The deep sea was definitely his home ground. He was at the peak of the immortal ascension platform. He was in the same realm as Jiang Hao. He couldn't help but sigh. Wasn't it a waste for such a powerful person to be on the ship? Smiling San Sheng, said the middle-aged man. That's me. Jiang Hao opened his folding fan. You can't kill someone on this ship. It's one of the rules, the middle-aged man said. Fellow disciple, you must be joking. I saw no written rules when I boarded the ship, said Jiang Hao. The middle-aged man lowered his head and smiled. Well, now you know. After saying that, the middle-aged man turned around and walked into the cabin. It meant that he wouldn't let it go the next time. Jiang Hao was a little surprised. He had thought that he would be made to get off at the very least. He did not expect the other party to just let it be. Jiang Hao was surprised. The others were shocked too. Many powerful people had done the same, and they had been dealt with. Why had the captain just let it go? Jiang Hao returned to Hong Yuye's side only to see her staring at him. Is there something on my face, senior? Jiang Hao asked softly. Were you pretending just now? Hong Yuye asked. Senior, you already know the answer. I'm the least arrogant person. But smiling San Sheng is the complete opposite. I have no choice but to keep up the pretense. Hong Yuye chuckled but did not pay much attention to it. Instead, she turned to look outside. The sea view here was indeed strange. That night, Jiang Hao received an invitation from the captain to join him in the cabin. He didn't refuse. After a while, he arrived in a quaint little room. A middle-aged man was at the table making tea. Jiang Hao and Hong Yuye entered. "Please take a seat," said the captain. After they were seated, the middle-aged man said, "This tea is called the deep-pointed tea. It's a deep-sea spirit tea. Not only is it difficult to grow, but the production is also very small. Only a bit is harvested in over 10 years. But it's worth the wait. Please try it." Jiang Hao was a little surprised. From the aroma, he could tell that this tea wasn't inferior to September spring at all. From the spiritual energy circulating in the tea, he could tell that it was even more impressive than September spring. He picked up the teacup and took a sip. A coolness spread throughout his body. It made him feel as if he was in the endless deep sea. His mind was calm. This tea was extraordinary. He realized something. He put down the cup. "This is good tea. I'm glad you liked it," said the middle-aged man with a smile. "Let me introduce myself. I'm Sichu Wudao." Smiling San Sheng, said Jiang Hao. "Are you going to Colored Glass Island?" Sichu Wudao raised his teacup and asked. "Yes." Jiang Hao nodded. "Are you going to the Dragon Cave?" Sichu Wudao asked. Jiang Hao didn't answer. "Do you know that it's a trap?" asked Sichu Wudao. "If you intend to enter it anyway, I can help you a little." "A favor?" Jiang Hao stared at him. Sichu Wudao took out a scale. "This is a dragon scale, a rather special one. It has the will of a true dragon and can lead you to the correct path. Maybe you can avoid the trap in that way. In exchange, I want one of the pills that is inside. If there's no pill, there should be some information." "What kind of pill is it?" Jiang Hao asked curiously. "Scarlet Feather Divine Pill," Sichu Wudao said. Jiang Hao was a little surprised. He slowly said, "The Scarlet Feather Divine Pill can nourish the primordial spirit, dispel evil, remove curses, and eliminate inner demons. As long as there's a wisp of breath, it can save your life." Sichu Wudao was surprised. "You are very knowledgeable, fellow disciple." "I used it once before," said Jiang Hao. Hong Yuye had given it to him, but he didn't say that. He was a little puzzled. The Scarlet Feather Divine Pill was ineffective against the Dragon Clan. Why would it be in the Dragon Cave? He asked a few more questions. He realized that the other party only wanted to make a deal. He didn't want to go in, and it would be a waste to keep the dragon scales. So, he thought it would be better to let someone go in. Once he obtained the Scarlet Feather Divine Pill, he would win big. Jiang Hao didn't mind. Having the dragon scales was a good thing for him. However, that was not enough. He still needed the other party to help him with something. On the deck, the old woman stood with Nangongyu. "We have to find a way to travel with Smiling San Sheng," said the old woman. "Why?" "I feel that he is a little dangerous." Nangongyu was unwilling to join him. "It's very likely that he's also trying to enter the Dragon Cave. Perhaps we can help each other out. He definitely doesn't have the information we have. As Saint Bandits, we have a special way to enter. No matter how powerful Smiling San Sheng is, he won't be able to understand the Saint Bandits' methods. We simply can't fail this time. We need his help. I just don't know what will happen if we cooperate with such a reckless person. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible." Chapter 974. Smiling San Sheng is the most untrustworthy. What would happen if she cooperated with Smiling San Sheng? The other party was unpredictable and did not care about others. He did whatever he wanted. Making a deal with him would provoke many powerful enemies. It was dangerous. That was what Nangongyu felt from what she knew so far. It was risky to work with him. However, there was a benefit. He wasn't an ordinary person. The Dragon Cave was a trap set up by the Great Thousand God sect. Although people like Smiling San Sheng were scary, there must be something special about him. Otherwise, he wouldn't be so bold. Some people were arrogant because they were stupid, while others were arrogant because they had something up their sleeve. Smiling San Sheng might have something up his sleeve. While they were still discussing, Smiling San Sheng walked out onto the deck. Jiang Hao heaved a sigh of relief. He had wanted to find a place to get rid of the things on him. Sichu Wudao could buy it from him. When he took out the item, the other party was stunned. They were all things related to the fallen immortal clan. For a moment, he was reluctant to buy them because the fallen immortal clan was unpredictable. Luckily, the items were not very extraordinary. In the end, Jiang Hao received 460,000 spirit stones. From the looks of it, these people weren't that rich. However, it did not matter anymore. He had a total of 580,000 spirit stones. He was still about 170,000 more away from completely digesting the Holy Master's divine soul. He hesitated for a while. He decided to find a place to spend 500,000 spirit stones first. This way, the power of the mountain sea seal would far exceed that of the Peak of Immortal Ascension platform. The power would stack. The second form of Heavenly Blade would be extremely powerful then. The seal was extraordinarily powerful. The benefits of 1,000,000 spirit stones were far greater than the spirit stones themselves. It was a pity that he didn't have more divine souls. It would be a good thing if the Holy Master went after Senior Sister Miao. However, he had to give himself some time. Otherwise, Senior Sister Miao would be in danger. He didn't want anything to happen to Senior Brother Mu Qi and Senior Sister Miao. They were very good to him. He had brought Miao Tinglian into the sect, so they felt indebted to him. They treated him well. He noticed that Hong Yuya hadn't touched the tea. Before he left, he made another request. He asked if he could have some of that tea. The captain agreed. Jiang Hao wasn't a person who liked to take advantage of others. Since the deal had been made, he would try his best to fulfill it. The ship was almost there. As he came out of the cabin, Nangong Yu and the old woman walked over to him. "Fellow disciple, please wait a moment," said the old woman politely. "I'm Nangong Hua, and this is my niece, Nangong Yu. I was wondering if we could have a word." At that moment, the ship had already arrived at Colored Glass Island. Jiang Hao said, "What do you want to talk about?" "Fellow disciple, are you going to the Dragon Cave?" asked Nangong Hua. "Let me guess. You don't want me to go in?" Jiang Hao held Hong Yuya's hand and leaped on his sword. Nangong Yu and Nangong Yu were surprised. This person had already established that they were the Saint Bandits. How did he know? "You must be joking, fellow disciple. You're free to go wherever you want. I just feel that there are some things that we might be able to help with. We have our limitations, but we hope to travel with you," said the old woman. Jiang Hao stopped and looked at the two people. He thought for a moment. "You want to make a deal? Is there something special inside?" "We can help you avoid the traps," said Nangong Yu. Jiang Hao nodded. "Do you know anything about the Heavenly Spirit tribe?" The two of them were a little puzzled, but they nodded. "I remember that there is a divine item that can suppress the immortal seed. Do you know where it is?" Jiang Hao asked. "It's on ancestral land. But that place keeps moving. Even the Heavenly Spirit tribe doesn't know its exact location. They can only try to find it," said Nangong Hua. "If you need it, we can get someone to help search for it. In addition, we can also help collect information about the inside of that place. It'll be fast. Please rest assured, fellow disciple. Also, we'll definitely be prevented from entering by many people. We can lend you our strength. I'm also referring to the people behind us. Please believe in our strength." Jiang Hao was speechless. He felt that they were trying to get him to work with them. But that was good. That way, his chances of entering the ancestral land to find the divine item would be higher. Although Xing had prepared a lot, he had the backing of Liu and Senior Dan Yuan. However, he was facing the Heavenly Spirit tribe, Heavenly Saint sect, and Fallen Immortal race together. They were the three major forces. It was better to fight them with the help of the Saint Bandits. Then, let's see how sincere you are in your offer. I'll wait a few days, Jiang Hao said with a smile. Then, he left. He needed to find an inn. At the pier of the ship, Sichu Wudao watched smiling San Sheng leave. Is he reliable? Asked a pale woman who walked out from the shadows. Her hair was tied up in a simple bun. She was so skinny that it felt like a gust of wind would blow her away. Sichu Wudao shook his head. You can't trust him. I'm just taking a gamble. I heard about smiling San Sheng before. He cannot be restrained. There is a high chance that he won't give me the scarlet feather god pill even if he finds it. Then, why did you give him the dragon scale? The woman sighed. I have 3. I can make a deal with 3 people. I came here to look for suitable people. He had gambled with 3 people. All he had to do was wait. Among the 3, smiling San Sheng was the most reckless and untrustworthy. I'm worried that he might just kill us if he feels like it, said Sichu Wudao. Of course, it remains to be seen whether he can get the scarlet feather divine pill. What? The woman was furious. She took deep breaths. It looked like she was going to faint. Sichu Wudao was shocked and immediately comforted her. Smiling San Sheng was his biggest gamble because he was most likely to get the scarlet feather divine pill. However, it was difficult to know whether he would keep his promise. In short, there was hope even if it was a slim one. In a courtyard on Colored Glass Island, Tang Ya suddenly woke up. She looked outside. My people have sent news. It's smiling San Sheng. He disappeared for many years. Why is he suddenly active again? Zhu Shen poured tea for Mr. Dao. Looks like He's here for the dragon cave. He's probably going in. Mr. Dao put down the book and stood up. Let's go. Let's take a walk and see if we can bump into him. I think he needs information. That was my trader, though, Tang Ya said immediately. Mr. Dao smiled and had no intention of arguing with her. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 975. What virtues and abilities? The Astronomical Academy in the north, Yang Yuezhi stood at the entrance and looked into the distance. According to the news, the people from the Heavenly Note sect were coming. She was there to look at the name list. She wanted to verify something. The matter was not very important, but the one related to the people she had saved might be visiting too. They had gradually settled down in the academy. However, they did not have much freedom. It was only natural to check if the person related to them was coming. After a while, a flying magic treasure approached from afar. Soon, the magic weapon landed on the ground, and the group of people walked to the gate of the academy. The Heavenly Note sect has arrived, said a middle-aged man respectfully. Yang Yuezhi walked over to them. She appeared dignified and classy in her dress. There was no divine light emitting from her, but no one underestimated her power. She looked at the list and saw Xiao Cheng's name at the end. After that, she stepped aside and let the Heavenly Note sect in. Xiao Cheng was Man Gus' former name. You can visit many other places besides the backyard, Yang Yuezhi said. Please don't worry about anything. The middle-aged man in the lead bowed his head and thanked her. The academy's strength far exceeded theirs. After all, an immortal sect was an immortal sect. The difference was too great. Behind him, Man Jiyu lowered his head and held back his excitement. Yang Yuezhi didn't wait for the others and entered the academy. She told the logistics staff to give a certain person a few days off. After that, she went straight back to her own courtyard. She read a book and relaxed. A peaceful aura surrounded her. She was getting stronger every moment. At the logistics department of the Astronomical Academy, Sang Xiu asked for a few days off too. Many people from various places would be arriving soon. She was somewhat expectant but also a little bit afraid. She was worried her anticipation would be in vain. She secretly wanted to sneak off to the guest house to take a look. She just wanted to see if he was there. However, she could not leave. She could only wait to be assigned to serve tea to the guests. She went to request the manager to see if she could do that. It was actually very difficult, but she wanted to give it a try. However, when she found the manager, she was stunned at his words. "Serve tea. You don't know? Huh?" Sang Xiu was at a loss. "Senior Yang has asked me to give you a few days off. She has also allowed you to visit any place you want. The only thing you can't do is leave the academy. Also, you need to go to the academy's office to get yourself a dress," said the manager. "May I ask, how is Senior Yang related to you?" Sang Xiu was also at a loss. She did not know how to answer that. Senior Yang treated her so well. Sang Xiu teared up a bit. She did not know how to repay Senior Yang. That also confirmed that the person she had been waiting for was here. Otherwise, Senior Yang would not have made such arrangements for her. That night, Sang Xiu saw a black-robed man in the courtyard. He stood there. When the hood of the black robe fell, their eyes met. It was as though the world had ceased to exist. In Colored Glass Island, Jiang Hao sat cross-legged inside a formation in an inn near a river. At that moment, the power of the divine soul surged in the array formation, and spiritual energy surged into it. The soul was being absorbed rapidly. At the same time, a power surged in the middle of Jiang Hao's forehead. It was gradually solidifying and becoming vast. The power of the mountains and seas surged. The power spread out. It did not leak out of the array. As time passed, the divine soul of the Holy Master became thinner and thinner until only a quarter of it was left. Only then did the formation dim down. The power of the mountain and sea in front of Jiang Hao's forehead also slowly dissipated. When he opened his eyes, they held authority. The suppressive force was palpable. "It's very strong." Jiang Hao stood up and clenched his fists. He could sense that the mountain sea seal would be able to suppress the surrounding area with immense power. Moreover, the attack of the mountain sea seal was extraordinarily strong. It had already far surpassed the peak of the immortal ascension platform. If the Holy Master had more divine souls, he would be invincible. Jiang Hao sighed and left the room. He wanted to find out more about the Dragon Cave and the experts who were involved. It was good to be on guard. The Dragon Cave was a trap set by the Great Thousand God sect. The things inside would definitely attract some experts. No matter what, return to Void Realm would not be enough to go there. The Chaos Strong Island was closed off. The Island Master was at the early stage of the Immortal Ascension platform. "I wonder if I can still go there." He remembered that Madame Gong was still there. He could ask her. There was also a true dragon. Unfortunately, true dragons could not communicate in human language. Creak. The door creaked open. A black dog got up and wagged its tail. His dark fur was shiny, and he was much taller than before. Perhaps it was because it had eaten a good meal before. The nine nether seemed to have gained some intelligence. "You're quite sensible." It didn't run away from him like before. Otherwise, he would have to seal it and put it together with the heavenly fate misfortune pearl. Woof. Little Wang barked softly and followed him quietly. It followed Jiang Hao's lead. Jiang Hao didn't mind. He changed Little Wang's appearance. It turned into a black and white puppy. In order to make it more powerful, he made it bigger. There was no problem with it. Maybe Xiao Li wouldn't recognize it. Then, he went to Hong Yuye's door and knocked. There was no response. After hesitating for a moment, he opened the door and entered. She was resting her head on her chin. Her eyes were closed. "Senior." Jiang Hao called out. There was no response. "Senior, are you asleep?" Jiang Hao strode in. Perhaps he could try to appraise her. Just as he was about to use his divine ability, she suddenly said, "Go buy some food." Jiang Hao was startled. He quickly bowed and left. As soon as he left the inn, Jiang Hao heaved a sigh of relief. It seemed that he couldn't appraise her yet. After that, he began to look for a place to buy some food. Because he had left in a hurry, he had forgotten to ask Hong Yuye if she wanted anything particular to eat. He had no choice but to buy whatever he could. On the busy streets, there were numerous cultivators and ordinary people. Many of the vendors and shops sold things that ordinary people needed. It seemed that there were many ordinary non-cultivators in this city. Sesame seed cakes. Buy some sesame seed cakes, shouted a voice. How much is the sesame seed cake? Jiang Hao asked as he walked to the stall. 3 copper coins. Do you want one, young man? Asked the stall owner with a smile. Daddy, I'm going to knead the dough for you, said a little girl. She was around 5 years of age. She picked up a ball of dough. The stall owner instructed her to knead it gently. Jiang Hao nodded slowly. We want 3 of those too, said a voice behind him. Jiang Hao turned and saw Tang Ya, followed by Mr. Dao and Zhu Shun. They were here. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.